Welcome to the CEN show, a platform where we learn from the world community. I am your host, Rasaki Maskani, and on the panel this evening, we have Janita, we have Brother Mashinda, we have Professor Amin Ra, and our guest is Mr. Bobby, a radio personality and the co-host of the Counter-Racist Code Show with Neely Fuller Jr. Mr. Bobby has been on our show twice, and we always have great conversation. The title of the show this evening is What's Really Going On. I spoke with Mr. Bobby a few times about what we were going to talk about, and he sent me a few places to look at some information related to our current political scene. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce and welcome Mr. Bobby. Mr. Bobby, thanks for coming back, and let us know a little bit about yourself, and then also let's get into this topic of what's really going on.
Well, that would be nice, but now I lost you there. I got to get you back here. Wait a minute. Okay, there we go. Yeah, there we go. Well, really, there's not a whole lot to say about me. I've been in broadcasting now for 55 years. 55 years. I started off doing commercials here at a local radio station, and the career just bloomed from there. For some reason, some people liked my voice, so I started doing voiceovers and things like that, and then fluctuated in and out, going to school at Ohio State University, Columbus State, Franklin, some of the local schools around here. Did some volunteer work for, at that time, the Central Ohio Radio Reading Network, where I would read to people who were visually impaired, give them the news and so forth. And then got back into television broadcasting at a station that I think is now defunct, WOABV TV8 here in Columbus. They call it the Heart and Soul of Central Ohio, where I did videos of church sermons and so forth. But I also did high school basketball games. And I guess someone thought enough of me to start doing college football games. So I did a couple of games for Central State University. As a matter of fact, Central State versus Texas Southern University. And my career has been like that off and on. And then I got an interview with a gentleman by the name of Kahari Inaharo at Talktainment Radio. That's probably where you came in to view. And so from there, that's how I became associated with Neely Fuller. And then when they decided to change the format a little bit, Fuller and I were without a job for a little bit. Okay, we both got fired. How about that? But it was okay, we just take it as it is. But he liked me so well, he brought me on with him to do the Counter-Racist Code Show with him. And we've been at it for almost 10 years, and we go all over the world, as you well know, trying to teach people about what is really going on. And I think that's how you and I got in contact, brother. Rashid.
Yeah, through Brother Muko from the show.
Yep.
Yeah. Matter
So
of fact,
that's about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Matter of fact, you introduced me to Brother Muko when I contacted you by email.
Yes.
Yeah. So Brother Muko is one of our team members.
Okay.
So, Mr. Bobby, tell us about really what's going on.
Well, as I was stating before the program began, the subjects are all really interconnected, and I did send you some information about some things that I thought maybe you didn't know about, some things that I discovered, about in Palestine, what was going on, and how that thing was really set up long before what you and I see. In fact, long before we were born. One of the things that you could look up, or a person could look up even while we're doing the show, is the Balfour Declaration. And what that did was set up the land in what is now called the Middle East, because there was no such thing as the Middle East. They invented that when they started to remove the people that were there to put in the European Jews that didn't have a place to go. So they uprooted them. And so in doing that, that was in, I think it was 1917. Well, 31 years later in 1948, this Israel became a state. The reason why I brought the Balfour Balfour Declaration in it is that there was a project called the Ben Gurion Canal Project, and what that was that they wanted to build a canal to connect Israel with I think it's the Mediterranean Sea, and it might be the Black Sea. I'm not sure on that, but in other words, to cut off the so-called Suez Canal. And if you look at the history of the Suez Canal and what they did, actually was a river that they just started to expand, and then they made a canal. Well, money is at the root of everything. In fact, the love of it. And so what they did, they decided that they wanted some of that money. I forgot, trillions and trillions of dollars. As a side note, although I can't prove this, but remember when that boat went down and blocked it? Anybody?
Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, that got me to thinking. There was a lot of money involved in that. It seemed like you lost the screen again. There was a lot of money involved in that. Let me see if I can get back on there. Wow.
We can hear you.
We can still hear you, Mr. Miles.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just can't see. Anyway, in my mind, that could have been, and I'm suggesting this, it could have been a setup, because of the money that was lost with that shipping blocking the canal so that ships could not go through, which gave them more reason to do what I call ethnic cleansing. Now, again, I can't prove it, but it looks like that, because you have to remember or have to understand that a lot of this stuff is going on is because of money. It's all related to money and who wants it. Who wants it and who's going to get it. It's all a setup. In every single action of people activity, the bottom line is money. The bottom line is money. So what looks like what they want you to look at it as, and I'm using air quotes, it looks like it's something else, but it really isn't. That is what's going on with there. And then it has many subsidiaries or contributing things to it to make it look like it's something that is real, but it's not. I call them distractions. And that is in all areas of people activity. All areas is nothing but distractions.
Mhm.
Okay.
There we go. Okay, there we go. Yeah. So that's basically it. But all these things are set up like that for the one world government, which is in place right now. And what is that government meant by evidence? What do you think it is?
I could quote Neely Fuller.
Well, but even though I'm with the show, when you think about by evidence, what is the one world government right now? By evidence. Anybody?
When you say one world government,
Yes. Yeah, there's only one government in the entire world. Many countries, like let's say this country here, which is called the United States, and they make you think that it's the government, but what is the one worldwide government?
I mean,
Okay, it's the government of white supremacy. That's the one world government that is supported by what? By money. By money. All of it is by money. It's set up that way in every single area of people activity. You cannot go anywhere without it being there. And the mistreatment of people, particularly people that are like us, dark skinned. It is like that. It is like that, and there's nowhere that you can go anywhere where that's not in place. It's all set up that way.
So, Janita, did you want to respond to that? You were saying something.
Oh, I wasn't saying anything.
Oh,
Go
you
ahead.
wasn't? Okay.
No.
All right, Professor Rod, did you want to respond to that?
Appreciate what's been said, if I understand correctly. First, I want to thank Mr. Bobby for coming on and sharing his wealth of knowledge and his long time activism and trying to educate the people to what's really going on, and his services to us as a people in Cleveland, Ohio, and as far as reaching as his information could go on this planet to Black people. Two quick questions.
Yes, sir.
When we talk about the Suez Canal, was that the one when the boat got blocked or going sideways?
That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, okay. And then second, the when you say one world government.
Yes.
So remember when they came out with the New World Order?
Yes.
Okay. Well, but they had China in there somewhere.
Yeah.
And they people of color, if I'm not mistaken. And so, and you know, even though they emulate Europeans in many ways, you know, but at the same time, they were looking at China as a part of the New World Order, but they're not part of the one world government. You them as a part of white supremacy.
Yeah, because they control them. You see, there's only a few people that really are in charge of the whole world. Relative a few families, and I'm gonna give you one name in particular, and how this thing was set up. The Rothschild family, and then the father, Mayer Mayer Rothschild, had 5 sons, and he may ask his sons to go in the 5 principal areas of the world to set up banking. And here's a quote, not exactly verbatim, but he said that if he can control the currency of the country, it didn't matter who was the president or whoever was in charge, because they controlled the supply of money. You know, that's the way it is. They control it. And everything is what? You have to what? Buy, sell, or trade. And it's all connected. So whether you Chinese or Russian or so forth, like these war that is going on right now, who do you think funds that? Or how do you fund that? It takes what? Logistics. You got troops. You got people that need to eat, bathroom facilities, munitions to for guns and tanks or missiles, whatever. It's all an orchestrated game to make it look like something that it's not. And they use us with scare tactics. And they do not want you to know that, because if you do know the truth, then you look at it from a different perspective. They only let out what they want to be let out. And that's just the way that it is. And if you get too close, you are eliminated. Have you ever listened to the speech that Malcolm talked about, the ballot and the bullet, or Message to the Grassroots, where he explained all this stuff that's going on? And guess what? He was eliminated. Anybody that gets close to what's really going on, the topic of the night, you get close. I mean, you get eliminated.
Okay. Then the other question is when Ralph Bunche at the they put in the declaration to establish Israel in 1948. They also had a human rights declaration that year in Geneva. They gave Bunche a Nobel Peace Prize for that. You know, he was working with the United States government.
Yes, sir.
Nobel Peace Prize. So where do the aspect of Um, because you see, when you say it's the white supremacy is the one government, there is resistance, and throughout history, they've always had to, you know, don't get me wrong, they didn't fight their way into Africa, they didn't fight their way into into America. They came as guests, and then they built their military, their forts, and established their power through violence and things of
Yeah.
this nature. Now, what I'm saying is, but the people still resist. There's some that, you know, had to acquiesce because of force or fear or just to survive to fight another day. I don't know.
Exactly.
But the issue is that um, there is a struggle against white supremacy, is there?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
There is a struggle, but see, here we don't have the people that are struggling or fighting against it. You don't have an army. You can't really identify. Well, you may identify a person, but you can't mess with it because of how it is interconnected with one another, intra connected one with another. You might do something for a little while, but it's not going to last because the system is designed that way to keep you from learning the truth. In fact, you know that they've been changing what we read. Just about everything is censored. Even right now in this program, if they wanted to, they could pull the plug on it if they want to. But we have no power to do that. No power to do it because they already know you're not going to go nowhere. Now, you take, for example, Mr. Fuller in his book, The United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept. Now, think about it just for a minute. Think about the word united, and then think about the word independent. It sounds a little oxymoronic, doesn't it? How can something be united yet independent? But listen what he says. The united, independent, compensatory, which is making up for what was been lost or stolen from us, concept, which is what we're doing now, exchanging ideas. And that starts with what? Telling the truth. Start telling the truth with one another, as we are doing now, brothers and sisters, meeting and exchanging ideas, not putting each other down, but you have things that I might need. I have things that you might need. We're united, but nevertheless, we're independent. But we're united in thought of telling the truth, of exposing the truth, which will be rejected by most people because we've been miseducated. In fact, I think there's a book by Carter G. Woodson called The Miseducation of the Negro. It goes even deeper than that. Because we are totally miseducated. Like right now, for example, they're having a tennis match, the U.S. Open in what, New York City, right?
Yeah. But what the issue was is that many of our parents and great grandparents didn't have the knowledge we have today.
Right.
We see the global dynamics, and they just saw cotton fields and trying to get food and things of this nature, so they couldn't teach us.
They couldn't teach
about the global thing about it. They just say don't mess with white people, don't look them in the eyes, because they was under so much oppression.
Yeah,
and that's worldwide. Colonialism on Africa and India and everywhere else.
They taught us what they could.
Yeah.
They taught us what they could. And I'm not going to, put them down. They taught us what they could. And then there were some that remembered what was going on in the old country and began to teach us. So who taught you guys how to read or to write? Because they were hiding things from us. But we developed what? I think they called it Pig Latin or whatever it was, different kind of languages to get the what is going on. And as each generation began to move, more and more things have been discovered, like they're being discovered now. I just found out 2 years ago about Mansa Abukari II. who was related to the richest man ever in the world, a black man named Mansa Musa from the Imperial Mali. I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
But the man was just that rich, and he traded with native black people who were here on this continent at least 180, almost 200 years before Christopher Columbus. But guess who's credited with discovering called America? You see, they put that stuff in history books and made us learn that until we got old enough to discover, hey, wait a minute. Trade routes have been established long before he got here, long before that. Now, my point I was trying to make about the U.S. Open, when you look at that, if I say Central Park, you know where that is. The image comes to your mind. But did you know that land that Central Park was taken taken from black people? It was called Seneca Village. Look it up. It was called Seneca Village. They took it up and came up with a scheme to take that land to put that park there. So if you say Seneca Village to someone, they don't know what you're talking about unless they look it up. And I always encourage people, don't believe anything I say, look it up. And when you look it up, you will see what they did and how they did it. And they keep on doing it. They keep on doing stuff like that. Or Monument Valley. No, it's called the land of the six grandfathers taken from the Lakota Nation. But you'll know it as the land of the Monument Valley. They have done this stuff all the time. I'm not against white people. I'm just saying that this is what's done, and they don't want you or me or any of us to know that or repeat that. See, we are strong. We have a treasure in us, but we don't believe that. We actually have a treasure in us that the master has put in us, but it has been manipulated by all this, by distractions and lies that we believe. So we don't believe that we're strong, but we really are because he said so. He being the creator. He said so. That we have to believe it, and then not only believe it, but to act upon it. See, I don't have an argument against any man. I listen to what they have to say, then I see if it's true or not true. And then I even do that. I make sure maybe 2 or 3, maybe 4 times, continually look for the truth of what is being said and to balance it out, what's not being said. Because we have to have balance in our life because the Creator formed us with balance. That's why we ask questions and keep on questioning. And there's some things that I don't know, and I don't mind saying that I don't know. Because there's some things I really don't know, but I'm willing to learn whatever it is.
We're the African people on the continent. I mean, Cheikh Diop came up with the plan to unify the whole continent, but it's the most diverse continent on the planet.
Yeah.
And so therefore, and it was diverse by geographical and lifestyles, from the desert to the Niletic people to the mountains and to the, they live different lives, and it's almost that way still.
Yes.
Because they may have been coming together and COINTELPRO and the European keep them divided through colonialism and choosing their leaders and
yes, sir.
But my point is that we're diverse in thought even in this country.
Yes, sir.
And as far as getting a majority to think alike, it's very difficult. But the point is that as we deal with racism, they are unified in their definition of racism. Because they don't, LeBron James could get discriminated against or either shot in his car, just like George Floyd.
Yes.
Because they just saw him as a black man. But at the same time, in thought and practice, there seemed to be an element that Francis Chris Wilson would always say about the need for us to come together and deal with racism as a white supremacist global dynamic, not just that. But
exactly.
The system you know, vilified all of us that was trying to teach a sense of Afrocentric knowledge and the need to come together and work with those that want to come together. But the point is that I understand what you're saying with the global dynamic of white supremacy, and because they have expanded it out of the European caves and came out and expanded it.
Yeah, oh yeah, all that. And see, this is precisely why whatever you have to say, I need to hear it. I need to learn from it and see how that fits into this pattern that's been going on. Because I didn't know about the pattern. I was educated in the pattern until I realized something is wrong somewhere. For example, you mentioned about stuff coming out of Africa and so forth. I didn't understand that we basically had been taught about the West African slave trade. Nobody told me about the East African slave trade. Nobody. And I had to look, and I'm still looking at that. Yes, the East African slave trade. And you wonder why all those countries or concepts in South America, for example, are speak different languages, all a part of that. See, the system is so dominating, and it so covers everything, and it's all cemented by money, trade, money. And who controls that money? As I mentioned about the Rothschild, and it breaks down even in that. Think about the richest country in the world. Can you tell me what the richest country in the world is? Anybody?
Some say Kuwait or Dubai.
No, not even close. Anybody else?
I say the United States.
No. Anybody else?
Africa.
That's the continent. No.
England.
No. Wait a minute. Who said England? Who
Your
said
boy
England?
from Louisiana.
Yeah. Hey, Louisiana, you on something. You on something real good. Yeah, that's one of them. And you know what the other one is?
What is it, Mr.
Hang your
Bobby?
horse. Hang up on this one. The Vatican. Yeah, the Vatican is a country.
Vatican, yeah.
By itself, right.
The Vatican is a country.
I was just about to say that, man.
Yes. They now I'm gonna tell you something. Put in all caps when you say United States. Put in all caps. United States is not a country, it's a corporation. And it is controlled by the like what the brother said from Louisiana. Thank you, brother. And also by the Vatican. That's one of the reasons why you can't get in there. They control this whole thing. Money. They control the whole thing. And when you find out that the United States is not a country, but a corporation, then you see, I use the expression, who's your daddy? Because that's where it is. Yeah, that's what it is. And that was shocking for me to find that out. Look, the Vatican has what? No army, no soldiers, no Air Force, nothing. And yet and still, in World War II, a lot of Italy was destroyed, right? How come the Vatican wasn't hit? And it's in what? Rome. Where's Rome at? Italy? Come on. Think about that. All that destruction going around there, right there. No. Man, wars, you got to have permission for the wars to be fought. Because war makes money. They don't want to end no war. They want to continually make money and make it look good. So they can keep that machine going. Instead of doing what? Instead of loving one another. You could end it right now if they wanted to, but they don't want to. They don't want to. What? How could they end it, Mr. Bobby? Well, what the Creator said in I'll give you a couple of verses, and they don't like to hear this, but a couple of Bible verses. 2 Chronicles 7:14. He said, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves, pray, seek my face, and turn from their wicked ways. This is what he said, I promise. I will hear from heaven. I will forgive their sin. I will heal their land. Nobody want to do that. They don't want to do that. Or how about this? Okay, I don't like that. Okay, I don't like that. Go to the New. Okay, so you go to the New Testament and you go to the book of John in the 13th chapter, verses 34 and 35. this is what jacks people up, is when you read it, it says, a new commandment I give unto you or to you, which is to do what? To love one another. They won't do that. That would solve the whole thing. See, love wouldn't mistreat nobody or do anybody wrong. It wouldn't do that. Well, I don't believe that. You don't have to believe it. This is what God said. You don't have to believe me. Believe what God said to do. But people don't want to do it. Why? Because the pull of money and the love of it is so strong that people, it's too lucrative to give up. They speak a foreign language anytime they're talking about the stock market, which they talk about almost every day of the year.
Yeah. Now, let me go to Brother Mashinda. Brother Mashinda, do you have any comments about what Mr. Bobby has proposed here? Brother Mashinda?
Hello.
Yes.
No, no, I don't. No, I'm good. Respecting his mind, his research. I followed Mr. Bobby a while back. Like you say, been in business 10 years, and I concur with some things. But the research that he's presenting, I'm not it. It's it's amazing that you know it's being something that's being put out there that it's not in the mainstream. So,
That's
but
right.
I'm saying, yeah. So, I respect his mind and his research. I follow, like I said, I listened to the show, with Neely Fuller and Mr. Bobby. But at the same time, although Mr. Neely Fuller, he gets the billing, he's the elder, but Mr. Bobby, I can't speak for Mr. Bobby. He's a student of the game, but he's also the elder in the game too. He's assumed his elder status. I'm not speaking for him. This is my interpretation, so I respect the research and the things that he's talking about. So I'm just listening because I'm notating and of course I triangulate and go back and do my own research.
That's
But
right.
the last time Mr. Bobby was here, the last couple of times, he's dead on it, and so it leads up to, we could talk about these elections and different things that's going on and where we're at. We could talk about the Belfour, we could talk about the Rothschilds, Theodore Herzl's, and all these are real people in time that has been carrying out an agenda and
Yes.
something I know. And so I'm going to sit back and just listen. I don't have anything. I just want to, because again, I'm going to continue to triangulate information that I received tonight. Thank you.
That's exactly right, brother. You are exactly right. That's what you have to do. That's why the research never stops. Some people say, well, why don't you say what Fuller says, you're still learning? I can't say that because I am still learning, but I do not say that because Fuller says that. I say it because I'm still learning. Even right now, as we are doing this, I am actually still learning how to do this. Do what? To do it better. Good, better, best. Never let it rest to your good is good and your best is best. I'm still learning, mistakes and all.
100%.
I am learning what to do and what not to do. And I will say this, I make mistakes. And I'm not ashamed to say it. And I'm not ashamed to say, I don't know. I don't know. But I do know this because I'm in relationship with the Creator, and the Creator gives me what to say. I have to speak from the perspective of truth, even if I don't want to do it. Just like some things happened to me in the last couple of weeks. And all I had to do was rely on the word, not just speaking it, but actually living it. When he says in Romans 8:28, and I know that all things work together for the good for those that love him and are called according to his purpose. Okay, you can say that, but then you got to live it. And I had some things that happened to me, and I reminded myself, well, what did the word say? See, I don't have to see it or feel it. I just have to believe what he said. I don't see how this is working out, Lord. But I'm going to believe you because if I rely on myself, then I'm going to mess up. So even when I do the research about stuff, I don't know if this stuff is true. When I did the documentary on All Wars Are Bankers' Wars, I had to do that 3 or 4 times to understand the little ins and outs of how this thing works in the global community and how it works down into the local community. And still learning all the twists and turns. I call it a labyrinth. But somebody is controlling that. And I know who is controlling that. And you look at the evidence, and who does the money go to? Like I said, like I intimate. But a person would have to learn that for themselves, just like I did. And it's hard because of the things that we have been taught in the so-called public schools and so forth, and the things that we have to deal with, especially because of the color of our skin. And that's a shame, but it's a fact.
Yeah, a heck of a strategy. Heck of a strategy that's being played out.
Yeah, it's
Color,
orchestrated.
yep, color context. All right, brother
Yeah.
Ahi. Brother Ahi.
Uh, Good evening, my brothers. Brother Robert, um, the banks controlling the world, and they're doing it with currency and the dollar. But as far as the people are concerned, what happens when we question what that dollar is based on? I mean, it's not like a silver certificate or anything like that. It's basically a piece of paper that we have faith in. What happens when we lose our faith in that dollar? How does that control? Does that control dissipate? That's my question to you.
Yeah, okay. That's a very good question, very good observation. Now, probably all of us have a dollar with us right now. Okay. Now, you may not know this, but there are hidden symbols within that dollar. And matter of fact, I did it today to make sure that that I knew what I was talking about. But there is an owl, a little teeny weeny owl in the crest on the right, in the upper right hand of that dollar symbol. It stands for, they say it stands for vigilant and wisdom. Think about it, a winged creature controlling watching over the currency. There are so many hidden symbols in there. That eye, that from that triangle, the so-called all-seeing eye, and many, many more. They're hidden so that we won't know or understand what's going on. That's why we can't single out one particular area, because it's in all areas of people activity. And you're right, brother. You're right about that, about the currency and what happens if you lose faith on it. And I can give you this. If you ever look at the creation of the so-called FDIC, the Federal Reserve, it was created back in 1913 on Jekyll Island in Georgia. And some of the families that are in control of banks today were there. The Wahlbergs, the people who own Chase and so forth, they were all there, and they came up with this idea to have this bank. And the Federal Reserve, guess what? It's not federal. It's a private bank. And what they did was create this system that they would take all the money, and then they would print it and charge the people and charge the government to print it. And then that created, when they did that, that created a debt, so-called national debt, which is false, but that created that. Well, let's fast forward a few years. I want to say I think Woodrow Wilson mentioned that he had made a mistake by letting them do that. But anyway, they created that, and then here come the federal income tax and all that kind of stuff. Okay, now, President Kennedy, and you can look this up, gave an executive order 11110, and he was going to put his back on, I think it was the gold standard or whatever it was. He was going to put it back on. Now, they giving you all this stuff about how he was killed and so forth. Well, you can believe that if you want to. It was the money. Executive order, and it's in the books right now. Executive order 1, he was killed. And guess who reversed that? Lyndon Johnson. And put us back because they want to keep us slaves to that worthless paper, which it is. You're right, brother, it is. See, it's a whole thing. But rather than get sidetracked into a lot of areas, see, it's all evil. And it's designed to keep us pigeonholed and fighting against this, fighting against that. The vaccines and all that kind of stuff, the medical industry, or now every price is on steroids because of the increase in prices and so forth. You can't buy a house. So they are coming up with different ways to do what? To keep the money train rolling. It don't make no difference in what area it is. It don't make no difference. This is what they do. So, but the antidote to that starts with you right now being truthful with yourself and with others. And the only way that you can be truthful with yourself is ask God, Yahweh, Yeshua, to help you, to give you the truth and help you to start talking the truth. And ain't nobody gonna believe you either. Why? Because of what does Hosea say, 4 and 6? My people are destroyed for what? Lack of knowledge. So even if you tell them the truth, they don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear nothing you got to say.
Okay, well, that's interesting. You know, we have different trains of thought about spirituality and all of that. But I'm gonna move on. Brother Hembrick.
Yes, sir.
Your response to what we're talking about? Any questions, comments?
I kind of tuned in a little late, but a couple of points that the brother stated about what can we do and the Vatican not having an army, which that really wasn't true. When they were establishing all this stuff, they had armies. They were sending out, knocking off a whole lot of folk during the probably from 1,000. Well, from the concept of Christianity, actually, they had armies going out that were subduing people. And it's good that the brother found out about the East African slave trade, you know, with the Arabs, which is still going on to this very day. It hasn't stopped.
That's right.
But examples that we can draw upon to get ourselves back on track, and I know the brother used a lot of biblical examples when he was speaking, but some real truth is that those biblical examples that you're referring to, it's a little distorted stuff in there too, because they were borrowed straight from African stuff long before that time.
And that is true. And that's true, my brother. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. As a matter of fact, under Constantine in the Council at Nicaea, that's when a lot of that stuff changed to the Eurocentric type of view, and he eliminated 14 books because the Ethiopian Bible has all 88 books in it, including the Book of Enoch, which I have read and continue to read. See, they didn't want that in there. In the biblical canons. So they settled on these 66 books. So part of what that brother just said is absolutely true. Absolutely true.
Well, I know it for a fact. I've studied it all the time on it right now. Egypt, the light of the world, but even prior to Egypt, it was already in existence. But anyway, some examples that we can draw upon to help recover ourselves. I took a few notes of examples that we can draw from. One was the Haitian Revolution, how they downed some, Europeans. Also jotted down the Mau Mau and what they did in Kenya. Also put down Hannibal, who conquered Rome and controlled it for like 22 years. I wrote down the Seminoles in the Southeast and part of the United States, and and also the Zulu Wars, which lasted for 1,000 years. And this is what we must consider. Well, basically, we'd have to do it from a guerrilla warfare standpoint right now because we don't have the military like you were claiming. But I used to show my kids spook to set by the door and all that about how to get stuff rolling. But anyway, consider this. All of these people that you mentioned that's running the world, you know, their resources that they got were from the continent of Africa and still getting it today.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Now, if Africans had the resources and Africans and African Americans and other Africans around the diaspora have the technology, and as far as the warriors go that we need to fight this fight, you know, we got a lot of gangs that are misdirected, and we got other things around the country. This NFLA, I forget the name of them brothers down in Georgia that was putting on the show for a minute. But we need to be able to defend ourselves. And until we are able to do that, we can't do nothing. We can pray all we want to pray and God to do this and that, it ain't gonna happen. But one thing we can do to get out from under this money thing is something that was in I guess Diop writes a lot about it, about barter trade, where no money's involved. See, all of this stuff came about because of the greed of money. Okay, but if we eliminate, I'm talking about us dealing with ourselves in a self-reliance format. I'm all about self-reliance of African people. Okay, we need to grow food, you know, and whatnot, so we can sustain ourselves. But I think one of the biggest hindrances that we have is organized religion. Myself, that's just my opinion. Because if you really, go into that book and read it, talk about we cursed and all this and that and all that kind of negative stuff about Queen Makeda and all of that. So I used to be a corner witnessing Christian back in the day. Read the book 3 times, and was a history major in college. And then found out all that I had learned was a bunch of distorted BS. So I started studying on my own. And this is the conclusion that I have come to when I stated these things that I've stated. So I guess that's about it.
All right.
Turn it back to the speaker.
All right. Let's keep it rolling with because we have 2 other people. Janita, I'm gonna come back to you if you want to say something a little later. Brother Chiwara? Janita?
Yes. Man, the brother is a gift to his people. To speak the truth, speak it ever causes what it will.
When you say the brother, you talking about Mr. Bobby?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
And I remember the very first time I appeared as a guest on this platform, I was stood in for Brother DX. And we were talking about Israel and the situation going on over there in Palestine. And one thing I said is we can settle all of that if all the parties involved and the world, the United Nations, everyone, would just deal with the truth of the situation.
Yeah.
The truth is very, very important.
Yes.
Now, when my brother spoke about God, it's very important for us to be able to identify God, because that's what they have done. They identify God as this white man, blue-eyed, brown hair on the cross. They identified, and that's what they gave to us. But remember, we didn't take this laying down. That was forced into us through what we call today terrorism. it was through terrorism that we conformed, and for the precious saving of peace and humanity. Many of us hid up many of our knowledge and wisdom. Much of it was inside of the DNA of our sun blood temple, which is our physical body. So we have to be able to identify God. That's number one. And what I have come to discover is God is energy. That's what God is. Whenever you hear somebody say God, they're talking about energy, pure and plain and simple. Now, the other knowledge is we have to understand it's not knowledge as generally or fundamentally as we may have been spoon-fed to believe and accept, but it's just one knowledge that will cause us to perish, and the lack of that knowledge, and that's the knowledge of self. We must come to the true knowledge as to who are we, and when we come to that knowledge, we will come, I'm speaking from my experience also, we will come to the conclusion that the self that we are is called energy. Therefore, it is called God. G, the big G. We are the big G. We are the energy that created all things that is in creation. Once we understand that, not even understand it, once we accept that, then we are then qualified to proceeding forward in that knowledge, understanding of what it is to be the big G, and know all of its operations. Now, there is to be no questioning. As the brother said, when God comes to him, he got to do what he got to do, and he got to say what he got to say. He got to speak it. So, in other words, when that energy within you, which is you, and has been confirmed, gives you something, you don't question it, you don't quench it, you don't put out that fire, you don't become doubtful. You go forth and you speak it. Now, as far as truth is concerned, brother was also hitting the nail on the head again when he said that when that comes to you, there's no question of it. There's a reason for that. Because for a man to have that type of attitude, as I hear this brother speak this evening, that means he has to have the intrinsic factor embedded in his DNA. And many of us have that. As a matter of fact, all Black people have that, but not all of us will accept it, acknowledge it, and become it. The intrinsic factor is necessary for you to be able to identify the truth, meaning to discern falsehood from truth. It has to be in you. And as an example, as far as like mineral content of how the human body works, if you don't have the intrinsic factor to absorb vitamin C, vitamin D, copper, potassium, magnesium, calcium, your body will not be able to absorb those things and utilize it for its benefit. So the intrinsic factor of truth must be within you. It must be a part of your core energy. Mm-hmm. The brother mentioned also self-sufficiency, self-reliance, and self-determination, and the dollar. All of what the brother has spoken of, I have personal experience with these things. This is why I take the position that I do as an individual Black man. Because I know and I understand that unless we stop, once you have discovered that everything is a lie, why would you continue to live in that lie? Uh-huh. And all those who decide that they want to continue in the lie, by all means continue. Look at those that came before us, like Harriet Tubman, like Bookman, and all of these others. They have one thing in common: Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Patrice Lumumba. They have one thing in common: they were not cowards.
Rush, Sharawa,
Okay?
Sharawa,
Yes.
we gotta let other people get in too. And Mr. Bobby, we gotta respect
I'm
his
not
time.
trying to speak all night, brother. I'm not trying to speak all night. So if you
But
want
that's
to
what
stop
you're
me here,
doing.
no. If you want to stop me here, I have no problem with that. Proceed.
Okay then. DX, brother DX.
Yes, assalamu alaikum, brothers. Permission to speak. Thank you, thank you. I'm just gonna make mine short and quick. I think this is definitely one of the most stimulating conversations as men, as Allahs that we could have. Y'all know I'm metaphysical and very spiritual when it comes to certain constructs and concepts, and I'm in total agreement with the energy that's transforming. I would suggest, as the elephants move. The elephants move together, even if they're all going in the wrong direction. And right now, if we move as elephants with these gentlemen and men and conscious deities that are present here, even now, the strategy, one strategy, just in our households alone, and those spreading to the other households, one strategy of movement, when we decide that we just don't agree with the devil anymore. And I think we all can agree with that we
Yep.
do not agree with this devil.
That's
That
right.
is the truth.
That's right.
At some point, we have to, even as individuals, stop agreeing with the devil. We don't have to vote for evil. It's evil. Why are we brainwashed into thinking that we have to vote for evil? We don't want evil anymore. We can, do as they do and act as they act and put our assembly together, put our cabinet together, and dare them to tell us not to. We
Yep.
have the intellect, we have the lawyers, we got the doctors, the teachers, the farmers, we have everything. We can go to any factory and tell them to leave and run the factory, or any of these warehouses, any of these corporations, and tell them to leave. We can walk up to the Senate right now and tell them to leave. They will get up and leave. But one man running down the street, he looks like an idiot, a doggone fool. What's wrong with him? But if you get 20 other people running with him, well, guess what? Everybody gonna be running because they know something's going on. And I concur, and I pass the mic. Thank y'all.
Yeah, like the brother said before him, I don't know if anybody caught it, but see that treasure that brother, not brother DX, but the brother that was before brother DX, see the treasure is inside of you, but you don't believe it because we have been systematically taught not to believe it. We don't even know who we are. So therefore, we anything can attach to us. But when we hone in, and like the brother said, when we hone in on the truth and let the Creator expose that truth to us, it does change you. You don't have to chase after the devil, as Brother DX.
Yeah, if I might just add one little thing, one little small thing, if I may interject.
Yeah.
We do know who we are.
Yeah.
We niggers. We niggers. The niggles, if you look up niggles, you can check that out. I know some of y'all be offended by the word. Well, you should be, because it's a holy word, and we're the only ones who can say it and do it. We are the ones who have hung from trees. We are the ones who hair is of sheep's wool, the eyes of fire. Yes, we are Jesus the niggers. It's the same people. We are the Buddha. We are the Shiva, the Vishnu. We are nature. We are the Netu. We are the Osiris and the Isis. We are the Moses and the Jacob. We are not the Esau. We're not the Esau. No, we ain't the Esau. But we are the niggas.
Okay, let me move on, because I'm not in agreement with the niggas or all of that. That's this platform is not with that. So I'm just gonna say it up front. If there's a different word to say that, let's do that. But I'm not with that as far as the niggas. I'm not with that. And
It's okay, but just know I'm a nigga. Just know I'm a nigga. Like,
brother DX, brother DX. I'm the one to run this platform. I'm not going to use that word. If you have another word, please use that. I appreciate that. Okay,
Well, actually, I
let
don't. I don't have another word, sir.
okay,
But
so
I respect the platform.
okay, I
Let
appreciate it.
me, but
Okay,
let me finish. Let me finish
okay, go
here.
ahead.
What I was going to say, the brother prior to the brother that talked about telling the truth about the different concepts in the Bible as we know it. He's not wrong because they put a lot of stuff in there that causes us to go in different ways and different I'm using air quotes, but different religions, different teachings, different doctrines. But when you get close to him, you realize that we have this treasure that he has put in us. And I'm going to tell you what the treasure is. The treasure is God in you. Yahweh, whatever you want to call him, is in you. And you can look at what 2 Corinthians 4:7, which it says, now we have this treasure in earthen vessels. It's there, but we don't recognize it because we have been systematically taught not to recognize this treasure. Therefore, we portray the image of being weak. But once you get in relationship with the Creator and the balance that comes with it, then you are exposed to that treasure within you that you can do the things that you are supposed to do in teaching and helping one another because there's no hate in you like that. You hate the evil, yes, that's what that. But you don't put down your brother or your sister. You build up through what? Through the truth. But don't nobody hardly want to tell the truth. And so therefore you have all these discussions and so forth. Okay, then what you going to do afterwards? That's where the title of the United Independent Compensatory Code System concept comes into fruition. We are united in thought to do what? To eliminate racism or white supremacy and do what? Replace it. Replace it with what? Replace it with the love that God has given us to one another. Then that would eliminate all this other stuff. But guess what? You don't believe that. So therefore, we don't do it. That's what this treasure that is within you. That is within us. I can't make you believe that. And I didn't even know that until I started to get close because I wanted to know. So instead of asking why, then I started asking the opposite. Why not? Why not me? Instead of honing in on all the negativity that's going in. Thus, I am still learning because I don't know everything. But Father, teach me so that I can know and do the things that you would have me to do to help my brothers and my sisters. It don't matter to me. I don't see colors. I know that they exist, but I don't see that. Tell me what a Pacific Islander is. I don't know what that is or what that looks like. I don't know what that is. They got what, 21, 23 classifications of people? I don't know about that. I don't know about that. But I'm trying to learn more about God, who he is, and how he's inside of me. Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. When I get up in the morning, I say, good morning, Father. Good morning, Jesus. Good morning, Holy Spirit. And then at night, I balance it out. I say good night to the same ones. He said, you have not because you ask not. I speak it into existence and wait for it to happen. I can tell you some things that happened to me in the last 2 weeks that I spoke into existence when there was nothing there. And that's where faith come in. What? Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. And I had some people verify that because it wasn't there. But I spoke it into existence, asked him to do it, and he did. In this world with all this thievery and lying and all that stuff going in, now some people would say it's a miracle. No, I asked him to do it, and he did. And I had to keep myself from, oh, no, he ain't going to do that. But he did.
Wow. Janita, did you
Yes.
want to chime in?
Well, all I have to say is thank you to all. I've learned a lot as far as my understanding and learning. I'm still learning too, but I concentrate on Matthew 6:33 where it states to seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all the rest will be added. And I'm constantly, information from the Bible is being added to me. I get kind of choked up when I start thinking of how far I've come over the years. So, Mr. Bobby has really spoken the truth. A lot of things that he said, it just brings back my understanding of the word. So I thank you for your program and for allowing me to take part in this panel.
Appreciate you being here. Now, I'm going to say something, then I'm going to go to Professor Ryan. I'm going to get Mr. Bobby to close out. Now, from my experience and my studies, I do a lot of studies. Just they have different types of studies, and so I study experience. I study everyday interactions. There's a lesson in almost everything that we do, in every experience that we experience. Those are lessons just by the results. Neely Fuller talks a lot about the results. So the results of actions and interactions, there's a lot of lessons in that. Now, as far as each individual has to come up with their own strategies of coping, dealing, and doing and going through this life. All of us on here, we have some similarities, but we do have some differences. And, some people say, Father, God, Jehovah, even the word that I don't want to spoken on here, niggas, because I just can't get into that. And there's got to be some regulation when it comes to communication. We got to regulate sometimes. And we, Brother DX and I, speak off of the line here, and we talk and we express ourselves. Now, each individual has their own strategies and approaches of the things that they do. And I know I have strategies for myself. I don't per se get into the Bible. That's not me. If the Bible is representation in my actions, that's how I affiliate with the Bible. And there's a lot of things that's been taught to us that's confusing. The confusion was brought up earlier, and it's brought up when listening to Neely Fuller. Confusion causes a lot of disunity. But I think that we're all forming into singular type of understanding of what we really need to be doing with our lives. And we have our opinions and approaches on how to dismantle this system that we're in. But I think that we're actually doing it, and we're having constant programs that's given lots of information that people can draw from. So I think that we're doing a great job, and we just got to keep doing it. And then as we transition, hopefully we have people behind us that's going to pick up and do what we need to do to become, more independent and towards liberation. I mean, the fight is here, and we keep fighting. Professor Ra said he don't give up. He's gonna do this till he's gone. So, Professor Ra, can you speak a little bit, and then we're gonna close out with Mr. Bobby.
Mr. Bobby for being our special guest and sharing his wealth of knowledge. Dr. Ben once said, Dr. Yusuf Ben Yakanan, one of our esteemed historians, said, God don't create people, people create God. That's why there's so many of them. And to everybody who have a different God, that's real to them, and that's the truth. maybe Allah, maybe your way, all that. It is amazing how we know that the white man is a liar, that he sees things in greed and power to rule the world, while righteous people just want to live in harmony. We never call, we're fighting racism. I don't care what you call yourself. You can say you don't see color, but he do. And as long as he got the gun, he can enforce it. As long as he got the power, he can enforce it. And so, that's what J. Rogers said. There ain't but one race, and that's the human race. We got the teaching. But there were 200 Bibles before the Holy Bible. And it's a translation by white people. The same liars that's running this country. That was their ancestors translated it. And we believe what they translate. It's amazing. It is amazing. And ain't no such thing as slave trade. They ain't trade. That was a Holocaust. That was an African Holocaust. I mean, the people, man, who made them trade? Who made them trade? They got the gun, they take. That's them talking about it was slave trade business going bad. About 100 years, and they didn't know we were human beings. Yeah, they knew it. But and they write to their kids. It's just amazing. It's amazing. But at the same time, everybody's entitled to their truth and their vision of life. And if they get it from an energy standpoint, as Shara would say, and as Dr. Bobby says, in you, yeah, your world is in you. How you see the world, that's the world. And it's a challenge because everybody don't see it the same way. The majority of the people on the planet they believe in a creator or they believe in the existence of a spiritual power, a cosmos, but they're not part of none of the major religions. Just count them. Just count the people on the planet. It's a challenge because they organize religion to steal and rob. That's what the people talk about in their church today. They run ministers off in the Vatican. That's just white people. White people. And as Joe would say, oh yeah, they got an army. You may not know what it is. And it ain't just about money. You understand? It's close to 1 billion Christians. 1 billion of them. You may not believe in Christianity, but they do. They believe, and that's all white supremacy. And if a Black person is following it, he's collaborating in white supremacy. And everybody know that. All your historians say that religion was used as a tool and a weapon. If they can get you to accept their version of truth and reality, even if it's against your own common sense and to your disadvantage. Here's a man running for president that then created an insurrection, raped and mauled women, stole everything, and people voting for him. You get a ticket and you can't get a job being a policeman, but he can be president. And why? As Dr. Bobby said, for the money, for power, not for God, not to do righteousness. They're destroying the earth. We're going to drill. Even if we kill. It's amazing. Next week, Rashiki, I'm trying to get Spencer Hayward on, the NBA guy.
Yeah.
We got a lot to talk about. So we'll get to that.
That'll be wonderful. Okay.
And he's out of Detroit. He went to the University of Detroit.
Okay, that'll be wonderful. Yeah.
You sure
So,
would.
Mr. Bobby,
Detroit
so
Yes,
Pershing,
sir.
baby. Detroit Pershing powerhouse basketball. The
There you
great
go.
Spencer
Hey, how about
Haywood.
Southeastern or Southwestern?
That
Stanley
too,
Vincent.
baby. That too.
Yeah.
We got some stars over there too. Jalen Rose. There you go.
Watch out now.
all right, Mr. Bobby,
Oh yeah.
give
Yeah.
us some closing out statements and thought.
Well, I really don't have one except keep on learning, keep on studying, discover who you are in him, because you cannot go wrong when you study in him. Even if you don't know, just ask him. He said, if you ask me, I'll show you. I'll show you. He said, I'll give you, he said, I'll give it to you liberally and upbraideth not. Yeah, if you lack wisdom, that's what he said. If you lack wisdom, ask of me, and I will give it to you liberally. So much so that your mind will run over with information, good information that will help you and prevent you from acting foolishly against your carnal self, because your carnal self always wants to do the wrong thing. But that
Oh my goodness.
One God stands for
yes,
unity with diversity.
that's right.
We find principles on how to work together, regardless of what truth you believe in.
That's it.
And we work together on the things we can agree on.
That's
And
it.
because people gonna go their separate ways, they always do.
Always
You
do.
understand? Yeah.
All right, my brother. Appreciate it. Thank you for letting me be on the program. All righty. Everybody be blessed.
All
Thank
right.
you, brother, for coming.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I want to show everybody who's the guest next week. So, brother Chawara, brother Chawara, you still there?
Yes, I am.
Any last words while I look up this information to show everybody?
Well, you know, like I said again, we must be death before dishonor. You know, we take no prisoners. You know, we are people who must stand up on our feet, self-reliance, self-sufficiency, and self-determination. This is the time for that. It's a revolutionary evolution. The revolution is evolution, and we must evolve. We must evolve in order to effectively bring forth the proper and right change. And like the sister said, seek first the kingdom of heaven. But the next part was, and all of its righteousness. So it's time for our people to live as righteous people as they truly are. That's their core. It's time for us to live as upright men and upright women and upright families. And in so doing, we will be able to get this yoke from around our necks and this mind set that we have now, thinking that these systems that are all lies and plagiarized will somehow result in our liberation and our joy and our happiness. You know, so I support anything that is fullness and uprightness, self-determination, self-reliance, and self-sufficiency.
Okay, appreciate it, brother Chawara. So
Yes.
now our guest next week is an author, and she has a true story. If anybody from Compton would know this place, Ujima Village. So the lady's name is Navaline Smith, and she fought against the local entities, and she won her fight, and she's going to tell us about it. Her book, you could get it from Amazon. It's The Last Lady Standing in Ujima Village. True story. So that's our guest next week. And I was supposed to order my book. My wife was supposed to order. So I'm looking forward to hearing her story. Our team members, Brother Hood, met the lady and he referred it to me, and she's eager to get on and talk about what she did. And she also have other information for us. So that's next week, everybody, next Wednesday. And hopefully we get Spencer Haywood on here. That'll be a treat for all of us. Sure. So each one teach one in Conscious Corner. Everybody have a wonderful rest of the evening.